Welcome to HIT Podcast, H.I.T, Human Resources, Insurance, and Technology. I'm your host, Toby Kennedy. As we do every week, we are dropping into your feed with what I hope are bite-sized and really good, really important pieces of information. This week's episode is brought to you by Montage Insurance Solutions, and I want to get right into it. This is our first episode sitting down since the big fires in California. Raging across Southern California, for those of you who know me, our offices are right here. My home is right here. We have friends who unfortunately have lost everything. So really, this is something I speak about very close to. Thank God my family and I, our offices are okay. But that's not the case for everybody. And as we traverse moments like this and we try to keep our hat on the HIT podcast, the proper hat, stay in our lane. What we're trying to do is say, hey, listen, if you're a business owner, if you're out there, if you're a human resources professional, if you're in this space, I understand we have our own individual moments. We also have our responsibilities in our duties, right? And so what I want to do is speak today to the employer who is trying to be helpful, to the employee out there who's trying to be helpful to his fellow employee, to the person out there that's trying to be helpful to their fellow man, right? So in the wake of the tragedy, in the wake of such devastation, I want to start off with some resources. I want to talk first and foremost about an organization, RULA, R-U-L-A. RULA, we're very fortunate through a partnership with us. You can go to rula.com/hitpodcast, rula.com/hitpodcast. That's HITPODCAST. RULA is a space for you to get virtual mental health care. RULA has over 13,000 providers, and what they do is you log in, you just go to that URL, rula.com/hitpodcast, and you can see right away that you can search, okay? 97% of people find a provider that fits exactly what they're looking for. They've got dozens and dozens of languages, dozens and dozens of clinicians of certain religions, certain ethnic backgrounds, whatever you're looking for to say, hey, look, when I'm looking to talk to a therapist, I want it to be a person that looks like this, that believes like this, that talks like this, and they can help you. They can source you. You could talk to someone as soon as tomorrow. Okay, so I know when these things are stressful, sometimes we're maybe looking, what are my outlets for mental health care? RULA is an awesome one, and they will check your insurance beforehand. Most people with insurance pay $15 to see the therapist that they book through RULA. Many employer plans have zero cost virtual care, and that's what RULA is. You're not seeing someone in person, you're seeing someone virtually. So it's a really interesting website that is almost sort of like a data amalgamator where you can browse, you put in some of your search criterion, and you can browse preferred therapist profiles. Look at them, look at what they specialize in. Maybe they specialize in depression or anxiety or chronic bad behavior. Whatever you're looking to talk to someone about, whatever you want that person to look like, they'll run your insurance first to make sure you know exactly what you're going to pay, show you profiles of therapists. They've got tens of thousands, and you can see someone as soon as tomorrow. Also, one of the cool things that RULA will do if you're an employer is they'll do all the heavy lifting to roll something out for your employees. So you want a website set up that's rula.com/your company name, and you want it branded to look like your company. You want them to provide materials and flyers and maybe even host meetings and Zooms so that you can show your employees, hey guys, they're going to run our insurance first. They're going to steer you only to in-network providers that look and feel the way you want. So in the wake of a tragedy like this, I want to point that out. Again, you can go to rula.com/hitpodcast, or you can reach out to me and we'll connect you with RULA. I've got a great contact there for your employer groups. If you want to have it turned over to you to sort of set up a big employee thing where you can say, hey, I went out as the HR person, I sourced this great thing, and we're going to roll this out to you. We've got meetings, flyers, all sorts of collateral. So it's a really good, effective way to make sure your people are seeing in-network providers. Again, a lot of them are zero cost. They're going to search your insurance first. They're going to help your employees see someone that looks like they want them to look like and help them get access to mental health care. So one first sort of big thing I want to get out of the way is if someone's looking for mental health care in the wake of this tragedy or in general, right? Not everybody's in Southern California. Some employers, maybe you've got some people here, maybe you don't, but either way, if we're having a dialogue, about mental health care, and a good space to kind of figure out, well, how can I get in front of a therapist? How can I talk to somebody? Rula is a great option. Rula.com/HIT podcast. Also, for a lot of people that maybe evacuated and thank God their house wasn't burned down, right? So now you're returning home. Just want to touch on what I've heard and seen as some best practices, right? So for example, when you first get home, inspecting around, right? Making sure that there's no wildlife that entered your house. Do you smell gas or hissing, right? So I wouldn't light a candle or a lantern right away if you don't have power until you can be sure there's no gas leaks. Roofs, did things move around in cabinets, or roof leaks or foundation stuff, right? So walking around the perimeter when you first get home and maybe being thoughtful of the idea that, you're right, I need to be sure about gas leaks and wildlife and some of those things that may have found their way to my home while I evacuated and now that I'm coming back. And of course, the consideration for food, water, maybe things that you might need to throw away. And talking to the kids, right? So I have 2 kids. I've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and tried to look into, okay, well, how do I best model good behavior, right? How can I let them know it's okay to be scared? It's okay to cry, right? Talking to them about their feelings. So getting out, getting back, whatever we can do to lean on our friends and family, whatever we can do to kind of, be aware that to the extent possible, community is so big and can be so helpful, right? So if you've got those friends and family, any routines possible, I know it's always great for kids as well. So kind of the how do we get home and some of those best practices. And there's lots of great resources out there for those sorts of things as well. More germane to what, I'm sort of qualified to talk about, the insurance carriers have also put in front of us, and they're trying to get it out there. So this is just one more forum where we're trying to get the news out, some changes, some updates, some things that they're trying to do to help, right? So in no particular order, but, a lot of the major carriers, which if, you're in HR, you're in benefits, reach out to your insurance consultant, reach out to your insurers, because they're probably doing stuff, right? So I'll start with Anthem. Anthem has made changes to their policies that go into effect now and stay into effect through February 5th. They apply to not only folks that live in the impacted area, but to any first responders that are in the area as well. I'm just going to read off a phone number for you to call during. If you need them, they said, hey, listen, during this emergency, if you have any questions on these updated policies, which I'll go through in a minute, you can call them at 833-285-4030. Anthem's phone number is 833-285-4030 for extra assistance during this emergency. But some of the stuff that they've committed to, for example, we want to talk about, you can receive care from any doctor or hospital, regardless of whether or not they're in your network. Anthem will treat them as in network. Again, that's from now through February 5th. We'll see if they change things and if they extend this or what. But for now, they've committed saying, hey, you go to any provider you want. They'll cover the claims as if it was in network. Likewise, if your doctor is not around, your healthcare facility is closed, call that same 833 number I talked about a moment ago. Anthem will cover your prescription refills as well, even if you're not due for a refill. If you need to go get a refill, go out and get one. Even if the pharmacy's not in your plan's network, you can get your pharmacy refill and they will pay for it as if it's in network. If you have any trouble on that, or for example, maybe you had the home delivery set up, right? So a lot of the insurance carriers encourage people to do the home delivery on their pharmaceuticals. You usually pay 2 or 2.5 times copay. It's delivered right to your door. You get a 90-day supply. Lots of reasons why that's convenient. If that doorstep is no longer your doorstep, you've moved, you've evacuated, again, call that 833 number. Just let them know where to send the meds, and again, go to any pharmacy and they'll treat it as if it's a network. So you can fill those pharmacies now. You can call the 833 number to set up the ongoing deliveries to, again, try to get back to some version of routine and normalcy as soon as possible. If you've moved from one house to a temporary hospital, you're going to be there for a few months. If you want that ongoing pharmacy, call that 833 number we mentioned a moment ago. A couple further things, the DME, durable medical equipment. If you vacated and or burned up crutches, wheelchairs, any of the durable hearing aids, anything that's kind of a tangible piece of medical equipment, they'll replace it. Anthem's saying, hey, go out there and tell our members, call that 833 number. Eyeglasses as well, right? So if you've got Anthem for the vision, go ahead and call those guys. If you receive a bill from Anthem, if you're on an individual plan and you need financial options because you're experiencing some difficulties, again, they're like, hey, listen, call that 833 number and we will help out. Blue Shield, same thing. They want us to get some information out, right? So for example, likewise on the pharmaceutical, if you've got Blue Shield and your pharmacy is not even due for a refill, it doesn't matter. Go out, get your prescriptions. They're committed to making sure that will be filled for you. Blue Shield uses Teledoc. You can call them at 1-800-TELEDOC, TELEDOC. That's one of their mental health providers, as well as MHSA, the Mental Health Service Administrator. With Blue Shield, those guys are 1-800-327-7451. That's 24/7 help when you're with Blue Shield and you need to reach out and talk on the emergency side. Kaiser is steering everybody to kp.org, but all their facilities are open and behaving as normal. So if you've got Kaiser, you should be able to get the care you need, and all the stuff that they're doing is available on kp.org. Aetna's got their resources for living, and they're opening this up to anybody that doesn't, even if you don't have Aetna, you can still access if you don't have the resources for living services or not. If you don't have resource for living, you can contact, it's RFL, you can contact those guys at 833-327-AETNA. If you're a member or a plan sponsor that does have RFL, call your designated number, the resources for living folks. But this is in the moment phone support. This is resource, research, referral. This is informational brochures. This is crisis support website. So if you're looking for another tool, you're looking to give your employees something, or you're out there listening, whether you've got resources for life or not, you can call those phone numbers. HealthNet, same sort of thing. They're like, hey, look, if your pharmacy is closed, don't worry about it. You can just go get it filled. You can fill your prescription. HealthNet's phone number is 1-800-400-8987. So those are some of the insurance carriers that are trying to get, the major insurers, and everyone's out there. So again, talk to your insurance provider, talk to your insurance consultant, and let's see if we can leverage what the carriers are trying to provide to us. Get that information out to the people that might need it. Zooming out from the insurance carrier side, there's other just helpful resources, right? So for example, ongoing aid, financial support, just with respect to fire victims, right? So now we're zooming out of insurance, but www.usa.gov/after-disaster. Went to that website. It's a really nice website. It's got a lot of stuff going on. Of course, FEMA's involved. So if you guys have heard, FEMA payments have been approved for folks impacted. FEMA's number is 1-800-621-FEMA, F-E-M-A. That's 1-800-621-3362, or register at disasterassistance.gov. That's the website where they're asking folks to register at if you need financial aid, you need support, you're kind of looking into places for help. Small businesses that might have been impacted as well. The SBA says, hey, reach out to us too. If you were impacted, if you own a business, www.sba.gov/business-guide/manage/prepare-emergencies-disaster-assistance. Not the world's greatest URL, but it's a nice URL for small businesses. So remember, it's not just homes out there that might have been impacted, it's small businesses as well. And I think that some of the better organizations out there, United Way, and that's just unitedway.org. The Red Cross, that's redcross.org. The Salvation Army, salvationarmyusa.org. CatholicCharitiesUSA.org. There's also the Humane Society. So thinking about the puppers out there, humanesociety.org. And there's a lot of places where if you are maybe in temporary housing and now looking forward, you got to find a place that's going to take you with the dogs and the birds and all the different sorts of things. There's resources out there. So just want to get out, especially as an Angelino, and say I have a lot of personal, very close friends that have lost everything, houses, school. I get it. We get it. I thought the most appropriate thing I could do would be to kind of stick to my lane and say, a couple tips and tricks, as well let people know about things like Rula. Again, RULA, rula.com/hit podcast. This is a website where you put in what you want in a therapist, what your insurance is, and they'll tell you on the front end, hey, we can get you in front of someone tomorrow, virtually tomorrow. A lot of people, it will be free. You won't pay for this because your insurance provides zero cost virtual visits. Most people that use Rula with insurance spend $15, right? Very, very, very high ratings as far as customer satisfaction. So we're happy to have that partnership with them, and also happy to say, look, if you want them to get out in front of your employees, you want to book a meeting, you want to say, hey, listen, for my company, I'm in HR. I kind of, I want to come through on something too. I want to, be there for my team. So, hey, maybe you book something at your own individual company where you've got the Rula rep that comes out that explains the benefit and how it's going to steer people to, a great mental health resource website that's going to get them in front of a therapist. So if you want to book that type of a meeting too, please reach out. Lastly, broadly speaking, just want to touch on the EAP piece of all this, right? So for most of us, whether it's in our employer paid basic life insurance, our employer paid disability, whether or not an employee takes the health insurance, if they're part of your staff at all, they're eligible for the EAP, right? So the employee assistance program is face-to-face, it's telephonic, it's online support and resources. So we're always talking about how the EAP is something that we try to talk about at open enrollment. We try to put in front of the benefits, in the benefits guide and talk about it, but it really needs to be hit on throughout the year. We should touch on it periodically anyways, but certainly in the wake of these sorts of a tragedy. So I imagine that if you're an employer out there, even honestly, a lot of times baked into the healthcare, there's some EAP piece, or if you pay for a standalone one, God willing, then that's even more robust. Certainly reach out to those guys. But don't forget to reach out to the EAP that might be free and baked into some other policy you're already paying for, and get those flyers, get those in front of employees. Even if you're not in Southern California, they're just thinking, my goodness, that's a reminder that great tragedy can happen really instantly. And maybe that provides someone across the globe with a little bit of anxiety or nervousness or just the desire to talk to somebody. So lots of resources out there. Some cool stuff the carriers are doing. Again, Anthem treating everything as if it's in network. The carrier saying, go fill your prescription. Some of these little nuggets, we just want to get out, want to get in front of you, want to tell you to get it in front of your employees, and want to thank you guys all for watching. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to TrueHue. Thank you to Montage Insurance Solutions. Thank you to Rula for setting up rula.com/the-hit podcast. Thank you to you guys listening. Been a tough week. It's always difficult in times like this, but we can try to do our best every day. So trepidatiously, yet hopefully, I say, do your best to make this upcoming week your best week yet. Make it your best week yet. Let's do this. Let's use these resources. Let's move forward. That's all the time we have for you guys this week. Join us next week. Join us every Tuesday as we drop in your feed. And thank you guys so much.